Let me tell you a story about the end of the world. Twins in Paradise is one of those films that evoke an array of emotions while watching it. It follows twin tennis champions and the different ways they handle grief after their mom passes. To make matters even worse, the rapture is happening in 15 days. Marcy and Darcy are on their way to the tennis championship after winning the semifinal. It's clear they have contrasting personalities, but the main thing that sets them apart is how they deal with their mom's death. Marcy channels her feelings into excessive practicing. She has an angel on her shoulder who tells her she's doing amazing and to remember to take a break, and a devil on the other who tells her that winners push themselves. She often takes the devil's advice, and over time this leads to violent outbursts. Darcy, on the other hand, was prescribed medication because of her disturbing thoughts. When she's on this medication, she escapes into a bright world, a paradise if you will, where she can see her mom again. As Darcy's obsession with this world grows, so does her dependency on medication. Eventually, Darcy reaches a point where she no longer wants to leave paradise. On the day of the championship, Marcy discovers her sister face down on the floor of her room, covered in her own blood after having an overdose. Marcy is pissed because they had to forfeit their championship in order to bring Darcy to the hospital. Instead of listening to Marcy scold her about being selfish and not considering her feelings, Darcy turns her attention to the TV. It is now where she finally realizes that while they'd been so focused on their own problems, the world was literally ending around them. With Darcy in the hospital and nothing else to look forward to, Marcy goes home and pops one of her sister's pills. She travels to paradise and sees her mom, just like Darcy had. The devil on her shoulder also follows her into this world and stabs the hallucination of her mom through the back before attacking Marcy. Marcy fights back, and it's revealed that the devil is just Darcy in a red onesie. Eventually, she's thrown out of the world, and as her trip comes to an end, she also suffers an overdose. By now, the rapture is 6 hours away. Marcy and Darcy are now trapped alone in the same hospital with nothing else to lose. So they hold hands while they head to the roof of the hospital. And before they jump the fence, they spot a rocket flying overhead. It releases a nuke, and as it plummets down, they lean in and hold each other as the world ends around them. I had so much trouble trying to articulate what I felt the true meaning of this film was because there was just so much going on, but that's exactly the point. There's a sprinkle of chaos throughout the entire film, from the way music and color are utilized to the various events happening to and around the main characters. The colors are bold and vibrant, which means everything stands out, and because of this, it's hard to keep your eye on only one thing. Your eye is constantly looking around, trying to piece together the chaos in the background with the very serious ordeals of overdose, exploitation, and depression. The music is happy, almost upbeat, but the story is anything but. These two little girls have just lost their mother, and their demons won't leave them alone. This film is about grief and trauma. It's about loneliness and depression. It's about harmful coping mechanisms. But mostly, it's about craving this idealistic escape where you can just forget about everything. That's what paradise is, after all. Paradise is escapism. In this case, escapism is achieved through destructive tendencies. One became obsessed with drug-induced hallucinations in the efforts of keeping her mom's memory alive, whereas the other wanted to exhaust her mind so she wouldn't have to think of her trauma. In an effort to cope with their pain, the twins turned to mental and physical destruction. Darcy's drug abuse caused her to isolate herself. Because of this, she became obsessed with the hallucinations that offered her company, and she didn't even realize they were causing her to spiral until it was too late. I guess she thought if she kept the memory of her mom alive, she would never have to accept the idea of her death. With the drugs, it's like she could be right beside her again. Marcy felt things differently. She had a photo of her mom on her nightstand, but it was the only memory of her mom she allowed herself to have. At one point, she even says, "I don't have any problems," and refuses to do the activity her therapist wanted her to do, showing that she's actively avoiding the issue despite the fact that it's taking a clear mental toll on her. By channeling everything into tennis, she would exhaust herself mentally so she wouldn't have the energy to think about her trauma. And the excuse she gave herself to avoid coping with her mom's death was that she needed to focus on the championship. So when Darcy overdosed on the day of, she started to resent her because now she was forced to face the very thing she tried to avoid. When the Darcy devil stabbed the hallucination of her mom through the back, it symbolized Marcy's feelings of betrayal. With Darcy in the hospital and the championship no longer a distraction, she had to come to terms with her mom being dead. She didn't want to accept the fact that she'd been avoiding thinking about her mom, so instead of accepting it, she blamed Darcy. On another hand, it's clear the idea of loss pissed Marcy off. She didn't want to believe she was losing her mind, she didn't want to lose a match. After losing her mom, losing anything just rubbed her the wrong way. So it's no surprise that losing the championship caused her to be angry too. too. I guess forfeiting the championship reminded her of losing her mom. She never got the chance to fight for what she loved. She just woke up one day and lost it without any notice. Or maybe Marcy wanted to win the championship in her mom's memory, so when Darcy overdosed, she felt betrayed. It wasn't just because she felt like her teammate had stabbed her in the back, but maybe it also felt like she was disrespecting their mom's honor. Maybe. I don't know. That's just a theory I have. I also feel like Marcy's rage can be easily misinterpreted. When she's standing by Darcy's bedside, chastising her for almost ending her life, she can come off as cruel and insensitive, but really she's just hurt. Some may think she's only talking about the championship because she says, "How could you do this to me? Were you not thinking about me at all?" Stuff like that. They worked hard to make it to the championship, and now it was like all their efforts were for nothing. But what I really think was happening was that she was just upset her sister was going to leave her alone in this world with nobody else. And even though she wasn't channeling her emotions the same way her sister was, she was also suffering too. Her mom also died, and the thought of her sister going next would be too much to handle, because if her sister died, then she would truly have nobody and nothing else to live for. To make matters even worse, death and the idea of death is all around them. Their mother is dead, and the world is slowly dying as well. The end of the world catastrophe is both literal and metaphorical. The world is going to be nuked, but in their eyes, the world is already dead. It's probably why they don't even pay attention to the rapture. To them, their world has already erupted into flames, so who cares if the physical world ends too? This film also touches on child exploitation, which is shown through their tennis coach, and how he takes weird, suggestive photos of them as the tennis championship advertisements. And that can also be seen as like death of innocence, by showing how he exploits them in their time of need. When Darcy wakes up from her overdose, the first thing he asks her is if her arm is okay so she can go and play. This shows that he doesn't really care about them, but only the monetary gain and notoriety he gets from his proximity to them. In the end, we realize that they both use different methods of escapism to isolate themselves. It wasn't until the literal end of the world where everything stopped. The music, the bright colors. The twins were finally forced to face reality, and the truth was that at the end of the day, they weren't alone. Even though they may have felt like they were, there was one other person in this entire world who understood what the other was going through. And by isolating themselves, they forgot that they still had each other. What did you think about Twins in Paradise? Someone on TikTok made a comment that in Darcy's hallucination, she's with a bunny, and then it connects to the bunny costume in Marcy's closet scene at the beginning, which I didn't notice. I thought that was a really good catch. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff happening in VEWN'S short films in the background that add just a deeper layer to the actual film. So go and watch the full video. It is so good. It's a little triggering, so be aware of that. But it's so amazing. I loved it, and I think everyone should go check it out. I hope you like my video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!